guys, I just have little Arlo here with me today. I wanted to give you some tips and different ways of thinking about taking your reborns out and getting used to taking them out. So if you have followed me through with all of my videos, I used to start out by hardly taking them out at all. The first tip that I have for you guys is to get comfortable with taking them out of your room, out of that secure place. Bring them to the lounge room just for a start. Once you're comfortable with them there, take them out to the garden, take them outside, take a few photos, go and have a sit with them, take them out in their capsule, take them out with a blanket, let them lie in the sun, whatever you need to do. Then you'll be more comfortable with the idea of it. Second tip I have is when you take them out for your very first time, take them somewhere where not many people are going to be. So for a walk down to the park, take them to the park, maybe drive to the park and take them out there. I suggest that you take them out in an item, so a pram, a car seat, or a baby wearing, like, so either carry them in a sling or whatever. My third tip that I have for you is when you take them out in your car seat or anything, take a blanket. That's super necessary. Take a blanket so you can cover them up. So if you get too overwhelmed, you just cover them up and that's that. You're comfortable, you're fine again. If you have a car with you when you go out, and I suggest that you don't go out for very long at first, so maybe run into the store. So once you're comfortable with going to the park, maybe run into the store and get bread and milk. Don't go to a local store where you might see Auntie Carol and your neighbour. Just go to a store that you're not going to go back to again, or you don't go very often, so you have less chances of running into somebody, although you may run into someone that you know. My next tip, so are we up to 3 or 4? I don't know. It is that if you run into somebody that you know, you can use a little white lie. A little white lie. I usually like to tell the truth, but you can say, this is my friend's baby, whoever's baby. Generally, don't put it close to the family. Don't say, oh, this is my sister's baby, and then they're going to expect to see this baby growing up, and it never does. So you want to push it a little bit further away from home. Another thing is be prepared that people are going to react, talk to you, say something, whatever. You might get nobody speak to you, or you might get every single person stop you. It just depends on the day. So be prepared. Generally, they're just going to walk up and say, oh, how old? And you can deal with this in a few different ways. So the first way is choose an age. You can say, oh, he's 4 weeks old today. And you can just keep walking as if you don't want to talk to them. You can say, oh, he's 4 weeks. And they might say, oh, how was the labour? How was the birth? Blah, blah, blah. You can get into all of these details. It's up to you whether you want to answer them or not. But if you don't want to tell them that it's a doll, you best just keep walking. So when they say, oh, how old? Say, oh, he's 4 weeks old. Sorry, but I need to get going. And just keep walking along. That's the only way. That's being... You're answering their question, you're not completely ignoring them, so you're not being rude, and you're getting on away from them and you're feeling comfortable. If you have to, cover them up after that. Another thing I notice, if you walk into a store like this, carrying your baby, it always attracts more attention than having the baby in a car seat, in a pram, or in a carrier. Like a body carrier is what I mean. Like the one day that I took a pram to the shopping centre, and I sold that pram the same day, so going back to my car, I had the baby in my arms with a blanket wrapped around her. I had the nappy bag over my shoulder, and I think maybe my handbag, or I don't know, over my other shoulder. And every single person, I kid you not, was staring at me. no one said a word, but they were all staring at me. It was really weird, and I was just, I don't know if I was uncomfortable or not, but I know having my pram with me helps me a lot. So I kind of felt like, I just noticed everyone looking at me. So if you don't want all the reactions, do not hold them like this. It just makes things worse. And another thing that I have to say is just agree with what people are saying. So if they say, oh yeah, is he a good sleeper? Oh yep, he sleeps great. Like, do you know what I mean? Just go along with it if you're trying to get out of there. If you want to stand there and talk little tittles, that's up to you, but just be aware that there are questions that you need to think of answers on the spot if you're trying to make this baby real. I like to answer questions because I know that I turn it around and I say, no, he's a doll, and people are quite, I don't know, amazed. I always say, yeah, you can touch him, and they touch him and he's a cold vinyl, and they can't believe it. I also let people hold him and stuff like that, and they just, yeah, it's amazing. And the last thing that I want to add is there may be negative comments. Now, personally myself, I've never really come across many negative or anything that's really made me feel sad or upset. I've never really had comments like that. I did the other day have a lady come up and say, but why do you have a doll? Why? I just don't understand why. And some people won't understand why. So you can be honest and say, this is my hobby. I enjoy hanging out with babies. I like with dolls. I enjoy pushing prams. I have anxiety, it helps me. I have illness and it helps me. Whatever it may be. Okay, so I hope that some of these tips have helped. And now I wanted to do a visual of taking the real kids out and making them look realistic, because there's just some do's and don'ts about taking them out. Okay, so looking here at two babies in their car seats. Here's Arlo in his car seat. His face is really covered up. His arms are just in the air. His legs are really unnatural. It's squished all apart. And here is Alora. She's all in her car seat, all buckled up, nice and safe. She's all warm. Little socks on her feet, really natural position spot. She's a dummy in. Her straps are all tightened as far as they go. Head support, toys and accessories. Now, which baby do you think looks realistic, and which baby do you think looks a little bit scary or would make you wonder what was going on? To me, Arlo looks completely wrong. So let's just fix this. Right. So we really want to make sure that we never have the baby's faces closed over, because some people don't understand that they're dolls and that could be a little bit scary for them to see. So that looks a little bit better already. The next thing I've noticed is his legs look really uncomfortable. Babies never sit like that, so let's bring his legs back in. Already looking so much better. We'll buckle him up, making sure that his straps are nice and tight for him, and then position him in his car seat so he might like to sleep with his arms up. That might be the kind of baby that he is. Huge difference already. There's both of the babies now. The next thing that I'm going to add, because this is my personal preference, which makes babies look a little bit more realistic, is a dummy. There you go. His jacket is a little bit big, but that's still okay. People do pop their babies in outfits that are a little bit big for whatever reason. Last but not least, I'm going to add an accessory or some toys to the capsule. And there's the toy, and then turn his head to the side a little bit. Okay, so there are the two babies, both buckled into their seats, looking a lot more realistic now. Now, out of those, right now, personally, I think Arlo looks a little bit more realistic than Alora, due to 1, lighting, and 2, This capsule sits up a lot more, and she's really glossy in there at the moment. That's a lot better with the lighting. And there's Arlo. All tucked in there. So there's some differences. Just keep them in mind, and good luck with taking your babies out. It's a really fun thing to do. Make sure you enjoy it, and if you have to put them away in the car, so let's just say you take them out for a short distance and it's too stressful for you, go and put them in the car. Make sure nobody's watching, because that sounds really bad, but make sure nobody is watching, and put them in a bag or something and then put them in the car. If you have a towel, maybe just pop that over them. Make sure it doesn't look like a baby shape. Don't put a baby blanket over them, because it just looks like there's a baby in there anyways. If you have to and that's the only thing you have, put the baby blanket over. If you have a piece of paper, I don't have a capsule cover with me, which I never used to, I put a sign on their chest that says, "I'm a baby doll," and it has doll in capital letters. Hopefully that will let people know that it's a doll and they don't need to break my window. But now I put the capsule cover over so they can't see them. Thank you very much for watching this video. Comment below in this video, right down here, if you do use any of these tips to take your babies out, and any questions, make sure you ask them below as well. Thanks for watching, guys.